Hi everyone, welcome to this video on setting up the SLS dispatching system in simulation mode on your own computer. I'm running Windows 7 and I'm going to basically show you from a standpoint of 7. If you're running XP, it's going to be about the same. There might be, minor graphical differences, but that's about it. First of all, if you haven't done it already, you're going to need to go download J Mri, and I'm going to go here, go to the main J Mri website, and download the production version. You can try 3.7.1, which is the development version, but I would recommend that you stick with the production version at this point. I do know that CATS, which is the main dispatching software that runs on top of J Mri, will work on 3.7.1, but I've had some issues with going to development version, so I'd recommend staying with the production version at this point. Either be, if you go with 3.7.1, just realize you may have some problems, so consider that, consider that advisement. So anyway, after you've downloaded J Mri and you've got J Mri up and working, you're going to need to go and download CATS, which is the Crandic Automated Traffic System. It's this thing right here. And if you click on this, you're going to go to the CATS website. And this is it's designed by Rodney Black. Good guy. And this is the software that is basically used as the dispatcher's panel. So this is what the panel looks like for the Crandic route, which is a railroad that Rodney helped design the software for over in Denver, Colorado. To download the software, what you're going to need to do is you're going to need to go down to the link here at License and Software. Once you go to that, go through through all the legalese, and then you're going to come down. You're going to download the executables compatible with J Mri 3.3.1. And that's what you're going to use to download it. I've heard there's guys out there using Linux that can do it. I can't help you in that department. I don't run Linux. So if you want to run Linux, you're going to have to figure it out on your own. The setup as far as once you get J Mri up and loaded on your computer for Linux and how you get the system to operate is the same. And I'll explain that a little later. But if you're running Linux, you're going to have to figure out how to get it installed on your computer. I don't know how to do it. So, okay, once we've done that, you're going to install J Mri and you're going to install CATS. And I would recommend that when you download the software, once you get the software on your computer in the zip, it's going to download it in a zip format. Once you do that, you're going to need to load and view the help, the README files, and there's 2 document folders in there in Word format, .doc. Read those and learn where to put the files. You're going to want to put them in your J Mri directory, which is going to be on your computer under your program files. So if you go to your program files, if you're on Windows 7, I believe it's program files x86 . And so there's J Mri, and the files will come out, and there's CATS right there. There's the Windows batch file. That's the one that makes everything happen. And the file that I was mentioning here is, excuse me, here's the Crandic right here, this word97.doc file. Read that. So once you get that all up and going, and the reason I'm not going to go through all that is I've had a lot of different times that I've installed it, and every time it's a little bit different. I can't foresee all of the little things that might come up. My suggestion is if you have installation problems, that you go to the CATS users group, which is on the Yahoo group. So if you're a Yahoo groups user, you can just go to Yahoo groups. It is a restricted group. They just restrict it down to so that people don't spam the group and whatnot. But Rodney Black, who designed the program, is an active member of the group. I highly recommend joining up with this group and asking questions if you have issues or you want to learn how to do something. Okay, with that being said, once we get both programs up and going, and once we have CATS and it will run in its basic state, what we're going to do is we're going to do a couple of things. Okay, first of all, we're going to need to go open Designer and we have to make a change to the file, and I will go over that in just a moment. So you open up Designer by just opening up the designer.bat file that's located in the J Mri directory. And I do it through Run. There's the browser. You go to Program Files, and you go to J Mri, and there's Designer right there. That's the one you want. So once you've started Designer, and that's what I just did, it's going to come up with this screen. So to load the file, we're going to go to File, Open, and we are going to go to our desktop because that's where I've got the file, and it's going to be the SLS ops 11314 traffic lever sig-r. We are going to click on that. We're going to open it. You're going to know the file opened up right when you see all of these broken lines and whatnot. It's a very rough representation of what the SLS railroad looks like. Okay, with that being the case, once you see this, you're not going to change anything. Don't click on anything in here. Don't make any changes. The only thing you're going to need to do is you're going to need to go to Appearance. You're going to need to go to Include File right here. Click on that, and you're going to need to select the SLS test JMRI CATS 1414 WBRT traffic LVR sig-r. That file. Click on that and click Open. Nothing's going to happen. That's standard. The file is just associating the one file with the other file so that the one file, and when CATS loads, knows to load the other file. I'll get into that other file in just a moment. We're going to click on File. We're going to click Save. We're going to go back up. We're going to save our SLS ops 11314 traffic lever sig-r. We're going to click Save. It's going to say, do you want to overwrite this? We're going to click Yes. We are going to click Exit, and it's going to say Save Existing Layout. Yes. A note about the two files. The SLS ops 11314 traffic lever sig-r file is the main file that operates for the CATS system to operate with. So that's the one that has all the line drawings for the main dispatcher's panel. The SLS test JMRI CATS 1414 WBR traffic LVR sig-r file, that file is a supplemental file that drives a lot of the detection. It drives the Westbury River the Westbury River / Woodruff traffic panel. It drives all of the local control for all the turnouts that are not controlled by the main dispatcher, so electric lock switches, things like that. It drives the stopping blocks and whatnot. So those one file is inclusive to the other. They have to be together or the system will not work correctly. So you really don't need to worry about that. We've just done the association in Designer, so that's all taken care of. So at this point, all you need to concern yourself with is this file. But realize, as I mentioned again, this file here, if it gets displaced from what this one is referencing in its coding, it will not work correctly. So just make sure that these two files are where you associated this one to this one in Designer, and it's in the same location. So if you put it on the desktop, just leave it on the desktop. If you move it, you're going to have to reassign and realign the file to the one file from the other, so that one knows where the other one's located. So that's probably a lot of mumbo jumbo, but trust me, if you don't do it, it won't work. First, we have to go in and we have to configure CATS. So I'm going to go in and realize CATS is running on top of JMRI. JMRI is the main support program. So to do this, we're going to have to do a few things. First, we're going to have to go to Edit and Preferences. Okay, we're going to need to set up the connection. Now, I've already got the connection set up on my computer, and I'm not going to take it down, but I'm going to walk you through the steps of what you've got to do in order to get it set up. So things are going to look different on the computer, but what you're going to hear me tell you to do is what you're going to need to do to get it set up. Okay, first and foremost, you're going to need to click on the little plus, because you probably will not have any connections up. If you do, and you're working some other system, that's fine. But in this case, you're going to need to go and you're going to need to click on this plus. Okay, I am going to be doing a little bit of it, but I'm not going to go through the whole thing. System manufacturer, click on this and you're going to go to CMRI. CMRI is the system we're using, and then you're going to click on simulator. Okay, once we're at simulator, we are going to click on configure CMRI nodes. CMRI nodes is where we set up the CMRI nodes that are on the layout. But since we don't have it connected up to the layout, we have to simulate them. Okay, the SLS railroad has 6 nodes. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. We have to set up each one of those nodes individually. It's fairly straightforward. Up here at node address, you're going to hit a backspace and put in a 0. It doesn't recognize the 0 that it had there to begin with. Node type, make sure it's on SMNI, S-mini. Everything else, leave the same. Once you've done that, click on Add Node. When you do this, mine says error because I've already got it added, but yours should say node added, node equals 0. And you're going to do that again. You're going to go up to the top here, backspace, click 1, go down to Add Node, click Add Node. It'll do that same thing. You're going to need to do that for 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Once you're done with that, click on Done. And then you're going to click on Save. I'm not going to click on Save because I don't want to change my connection, so I'm just going to close this out. Okay, once you've done that, it's going to ask you if you want to restart the program, because you're going to need to in order to save those changes. Click Yes, and once you click on Restart, it will come back up just like this. Okay, all of what I've just gone through to this point is all preliminary. It's all stuff that has to be done only once. Unless something doesn't go right and it doesn't take, you only have to do all that stuff one time. So from here on out, what you're going to do is each time you want to load up the program, you're going to do the following. So this is going to basically be part 2. Okay, we're going to start the program up again, cats.bat. It's going to come up like this. We can minimize this screen right here. Dispatcher's panel. We're going to go to File. We're going to go to Open. And we are going to go to our desktop because that's where the file is. You can put these two files anywhere you want. Just keep them together. And make sure that once you've gone through the configuration that I went through before in Designer, you don't change it again. Okay, I'm going to click on SLS Ops 11314 Traffic Lever SIG-R. Click on Open. Okay, once you get to this point, this is where all the fun stuff starts to happen. The program is essentially up and running, but we have to do a couple of manual initializations to get the program running because it's not hooked up to the layout and being hooked up to the layout in its initialization to run. So we're going to click on this icon right here, which is the Westbury River OS. We're going to click on that, and the reason I use that is just an arbitrary thing that I picked up when I was setting the program up. Okay, once it does that, you're going to see these stopping block lamps show up as flashing. That's normal. That's how the system comes up. Click on all the rest of your icons on the screen that are question marks and get them to show non-question marks. So I would start off with these here and click on these. These are all detectors that are used in stopping block management. So we're going to click on Staging Reset. From that point on, you're going to click on this one, Staging Reset Push Button, CNW 1 Reset Push Button, and then the CNW Stage 2 Reset Push Button. Go around again, click on Staging, click on CNW 1, CNW 2, and make sure that all these lights here, the occupancy hold, and the overall reset, occupancy, overall reset, occupancy, overall reset, make sure they're all out. Once you get to this point, this is done. Now you need to go into the CTC panel, and we got to do 2 more changes. They're fairly simple. Go to Tables, Sensors. That's Tools, Tables, and then Sensors. Go to CS3. It should come up right at the top. CS3 and CS4. Change those to inactive. Then come to your signal heads, and you're going to want to go down the list here and make sure that you have CH4RA, CH4RB, CH4RC, CH4RD, CH4RE, and CH4RF are all red. If they are not red, you are going to need to take and set those, so if by chance they're at a dark aspect, which they may come up as, you're going to need to make sure that you click them once and set them to red. They need to be a solid red. Once you're done with that, you're done. The system now you can minimize this or you can just hide it, and realizing, of course, that's not what I wanted to do, realizing, of course, that you have no occupancy detection. So there's only two ways you can simulate occupancy. One is a bit tricky and it's not consistent, and that is to go back into the Tools table sensor, and you can tinker with them, and you can, there's old main right there, and there's new main. So there are ways you can, do occupancy, but unless you know how things sequence across and cadence across the railroad, it's not gonna work right. So my suggestion is just use occupy block, as we've shown in other videos, and just go up to here to occupy block, and voila, there's your occupancy. The signals will still respond the same, and you won't have to go through that other process. So it's a little bit easier to work. So for instance, let's we'll just go through a simple. We go eastbound. There's our line, and if we occupy our block, it drops the signal to red. I go through here, occupy the block, and then unoccupy the block. Realize, of course, this is not what happens on the railroad itself, because all the detectors feed information into the computer, but we don't have that ability here. If you want to see what your signal colors are, go to Appearance on the Dispatcher's panel, go down to Trace Items, go down to Signal Changes, and once you've done that, nothing will come up, but then go over to, say, Panel here. It doesn't matter which one. You could go to there or CTC Panel. Just go to here and go to System Console. Once you've done that, just scroll all the way down to the bottom, and then you click on a signal, and you will start seeing indications show up, and it'll tell you what the color of each signal is. You've got different indications, and it'll just show you basically what's going on, and the further you go, you can just start seeing as they start upgrading, it just prints on here what the color is that they're changing to. And of course, realize that in certain situations, you're not going to necessarily always have, as we've mentioned in signals, you're not going to always have a green signal if it's green. In that case, East Sweetwater right there is flashing yellow as an advanced approach. And that's because that's the way we've got the signal set up. This one is yellow, and it is an approach, but this one here is an advanced approach, and so it's flashing yellow. Going down into Riverton Yard, if we click on that one, it's showing slow approach is lunar. So this one here as an approach is actually a lunar signal. So that shows yellow, it's lunar going into the yard. So we kind of cover that in our signals. Basically, that's all you really need to know. Once you've got it up and going, you're pretty much on your way. Realize there is a little bit of, there's a little minutia to the system and how it works and how you've got to get it up and going. If you want to play with the Randolph stopping block, it's pretty straightforward. The Randolph stopping block is the same as it is in when it's actually operating on the railroad. Realize you can't change this lever because it's just a repeater lever, and these are just indicators. So if you want to change it, you have to go over to Panel, which we have diagnostic tools here, and yeah, you can change it. And once you do that, you want to go a westbound route, you can do that, and you can code, and you can call the signal. There it is, westbound. If you want to drop it down, just go in and occupy Randolph center track. Right there in the center. It's just momentary. Boom. It goes in, doesn't affect the stopping block. If you want to go eastbound, you can. Let's say we're going to go eastbound, then we realize, hey, we didn't want to do that. Now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to cancel the route. I'm going to go through my 10-second time penalty, and away we go. I'm doing this under the premise that you've probably watched the other videos that are on the YouTube channel that are covering the Randolph stopping block and the dispatchers and signals and turnouts and things like that. So everything will pretty much work the same. You just don't have detection, and you just don't have the ability to do things like, unless you want to try. If you want to go, you can go and play with anything you want. You're not going to hurt anything. One thing I will recommend is just on panels, just stay away from save panel. Don't do any kind of saving, or you'll corrupt the file. So that's essentially it. I know it's kind of convoluted and a little bit confusing, but essentially that's how you do it. You can play around with it, kind of get used to it, and have fun with it. That's really what it's about. So thanks, and have a nice day.